My favorite kind of investing is real estate. I absolutely love investing in real estate. There is something so fun about the tangibility of seeing your property, standing on it, taking photos with it, knowing your investment is a physical thing that you can go to and will be there is just a really neat kind of investment. And it just so happens to also have some of the highest returns of any kind of investment there is with some of the least amount of risk. So today I want to tell you guys the story of how I got into real estate and maybe inspire a few of you. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, my name's AJ and this is the Wealthy Idiot Show. Real estate has been a long, solid investment for a lot of people over a lot of years, and it continues to be a real solid place to put your money so that you can set yourself up for financial independence, which is the goal that we're trying to get across on this channel. A lot of people have become wealthy on real estate, and a lot of wealthy people now tout the quality of real estate as an investment. Let's check out a few quotes. Franklin D. Roosevelt stated, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it is about the safest investment in the world." A quote by Andrew Carnegie, 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. More money has been made in real estate than in all industrial investments combined. The wise young man or wage earner of today invests his money in real estate." Mark Twain famously stated, "Buy land, they're not making it anymore." It's interesting to note all of these famous people, presidents, billionaires, entrepreneurs, economists, all making a point about the seriousness of real estate. So I thought this was something that I needed to get into. We're going to take this story way back to the beginning. That was too far back. We don't need to go that far. Let's take it just a smidgen back to when I started thinking about investing in real estate. At the time, most of my investments were in things that weren't real estate, mostly in the stock market, in index funds, individual stocks. For my 401k had a huge portion of my wealth. Then at the time, there was a pretty significant economic dip. I've talked about this before. I really like tracking my net worth over time, and I saw my net worth take a pretty significant dip very quickly. And it occurred to me that I was not really properly diversified enough. I needed to get more diversified. The single stocks that I had were in a few companies that I liked, but mostly the tech industry, and the index funds I have weren't enough in order to compensate for all the fluctuations that were happening within the tech industry in that moment. So that realization led me to believe I needed to start looking around and find smart ways and smart things to do with my money. Now, this was about midwinter, so I think probably about January or February. And I started to get on YouTube and follow some websites, some blogs, watch as many videos as I could, read as much as I could about the different things that I was supposed to do because I needed to take that next step. One of the things I quickly landed on was real estate. I needed to get into real estate. I thought for a long time that my real estate investments were going to be limited to the area I was in. A lot of the people I was watching was saying things like, you got to know your market, go to the houses, see the houses so that you can understand how the market works. But as most of you know, I live in the Bay Area of California. There is no way I'm going to be able to afford a house here, at least anytime soon. It would have taken me a long time. The other thing I noticed was that rents were not nearly high enough to compensate for what a mortgage would cost. We kind of covered the basics of how to make money on real estate, and one of the things that we said was that you have to be either cash flow neutral or cash flow positive, preferably cash flow positive, to give yourself that buffer in case something was to occur and you need to make sure that you can cover any kind of emergencies with the home. When rents here are pretty close to what the interest payment is on the home, it would mean I'd have to put a crazy significantly high down payment on a house in order to make real estate make sense here in the Bay Area. The unfortunate part was it would have taken me years to come up with that down payment. And in the meantime, I needed to diversify. So it just so happened that one night, probably about 2-ish months later or so, I was hanging out with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, who was saying that they watched a show about Airbnbs. I thought that was kind of interesting. So we sat down and watched an episode of the show on Austin. It was a show where they came into somebody's house and it was, mostly lived in. The guy had used this as his personal residence and then has since moved out. but he left a lot of personal stuff in the house and was just trying to cover the mortgage, kind of looked at it as an investment because he moved to Colorado. And then these people would come in and they would clean the house up, they would refurnish it, they would make it look nice and appealing to people who might want to be in an Airbnb, and then put it back on the market and produce significantly more money. And then that's kind of the premise of the whole show. Well, watching this show, so I realized three things. One was that Austin was actually someplace I went to quite a bit. I could go to Austin, and I have gone to Austin, and I probably will continue to go to Austin regardless of whether or not I own property there. So that gives me the ability to look into properties, to kind of know the area, and to get the information I need that will make rental properties make sense. The next one is I realized that I could actually afford a home in Austin. I hopped on, as we were watching this episode, I hopped on Zillow and Redfin almost immediately and started taking a look at houses and realized that beautiful houses in Austin were well within my budget when they weren't within my budget here in the Bay Area. And the last thing that I realized was it really doesn't take much to produce a property that people would be interested in renting out for an Airbnb. Having a customer service background, I could recognize that all you really need is to produce a place that you yourself would really enjoy going and feel comfortable in, and it has all the amenities you need. You kind of have to overdo it just a little bit in the customer service part so that you can get those 5 stars, make the place look really nice and comfortable. And so as I was looking at all this information, I realized that not only could I afford it, I could afford to furnish it, I could afford to repair any kind of damages that were there, and I could afford to put the extra mile in to make this place beautiful. After having discovered those 3 things watching this show, I thought real estate investing might be my next goal. So I got online and started watching everything there was to know about real estate investing. How to measure what was a good investment, how to try and figure out the income I was going to make, the different kinds of costs that are associated that I might not be expecting, and then I was able to start putting numbers down on paper to see if this was something that could make sense. And it could. There is one more interesting thing that I found out, is that I can't actually buy an Airbnb in Austin. Austin itself has laws about where you can put an Airbnb, and I believe the rules state you have to be a resident of Austin itself in order to get a license to put an Airbnb. And that applies to everything within the county Austin lives in, which is Travis County. So I started looking at places immediately outside of Travis County and found a location where they were much more willing to allow Airbnbs. The rules are a lot less strict, and I could put one in without much effort. There are taxes involved, but Airbnb takes care of those taxes for me. And so I went about trying to figure out how to buy a house. So I got on with my bank, started working out all the numbers, got a real estate agent through them, called this agent up and told him like, hey, look, I'm looking for a property to do this very specific thing. Can you help me try and find it? I don't want something that looks, kind of common. It needs to look a little bit different, have a little bit of character to it, and something that's not too worn down. We can't be spending a lot of money trying to put on new roofs or anything like that. So we immediately went out to try and find it. I went down to Austin, we started looking around at houses, and we found a house that we absolutely loved. It was really interesting, it has some really interesting characteristics, and it was something that I think would really photograph well and really show and highlight on the Airbnb site. So we put an offer in on this house, and we ended up getting a really good deal. We probably ended up getting around $30,000 to $40,000 under value on the home, which meant the second the home was purchased, it was already worth more, and I had already improved my net worth by tens of thousands of dollars just like that. The second thing is I got my repair guy in there, and he repainted it, fixed a lot of the stuff up, got all the finishing touches on it. We probably added another, I would say probably about 10 to 15, maybe 20 if you're stretching it, $1,000 worth of value to the property, and paid him probably just under $10,000. So it's likely we made another 5 to 10K off of that effort. We're looking pretty good just right off the bat. The next thing I did was a little bit scary, and I probably shouldn't have done this. We attempted to furnish the property ourselves, and we attempted to aim deliveries to be delivered at the time we planned on being there. That was difficult. Not a lot of websites will allow you to schedule deliveries for specific times. So we gave it our best effort, and then we went down to Austin. We started getting the place furnished up. We built furniture through the night. We were there all night long, building furniture, putting stuff together, hanging stuff on walls, cleaning sheets, cleaning dishes, putting them away, getting everything all set up. And it wasn't until the last day that we were able to get the kitchen table set up, right before our flight, and we were able to take some photos, and I took the photos myself, and then finally left that place pretty much ready to go. That was extremely exhausting. It was very difficult to do. I also personally re-landscaped a bunch of the property myself as well, and that was difficult to do. There were some unexpected costs. Those are always to be expected. So if you're running the numbers, chuck in some extra amount of money. They usually say that every kind of repair you do is going to cost you twice as much and take twice as long. I don't think that's usually the case, but it's good to plan that way and to think that way just in case it does occur. Then now that the property is ready to go, we need to get it on the Airbnb site and start getting some people to stay in there and start producing some cash flow so we can pay the bills on the property itself. So we got a company. That was a bad move. Should have gone with someone else, and I have since found someone else that is amazing, and I don't have to really worry about it anymore. But the company that was taking care of it at the time was not doing a great job, but they did manage to put someone in the property for an extended period of time. People who were in construction needed to stay in a furnished residence for a long period of time, and we put them in there, and they ended up staying for about 8 to 10 months, and that covered my costs for the entire first year plus a little bit more. So just like that, we were able to make quite a bit back. And then since we have now multiple different Airbnbs, I tend to lean towards Airbnbs, and I should probably start looking into more long-term stuff and kind of balance it out a little bit. But so far, the formula that we've produced is working for us, so we're going to keep reproducing it. We've got so much more to talk about in terms of Airbnbs, but I really wanted to tell you my story of how I got there, how I thought of doing it, putting in the effort to try and figure it out, crunching the numbers, and then doing the work to make it actually happen. It was scary. Very, very scary. I lost a lot of sleep that month. I didn't really know how it was going to work out in the end. I ran the numbers, but there's nothing guaranteeing that the numbers are going to actually match up. I knew that, my job would be able to cover this if it didn't work out totally, but that's not always guaranteed. People were telling me that I was buying at the top of the market, which is what everyone has been saying for like the last decade or so. And it never tends to be true. Housing still keeps going up, but people kept telling me I was buying at the top of the market. So that was making me nervous. And at the end, I signed it, we got it done, and that was exhausting. It took a lot out of me personally. So if you're getting into real estate investing, I can understand why it would be a scary concept. You should have plenty of buffer. I put 25% down on this home. A lot of real estate investors will tell you not to do that. They want you to put as much leverage into the property as possible. But I wanted the peace of mind, and I didn't want to risk quite as much. I didn't know if it was at the top of the market or not. I wanted to make good decisions, be as conservative as possible, and have a lot of buffer in case something was to occur. Like these quotes said, it is one of the best kinds of investments. It also carries a little bit of risk, but is one of the lowest risks in terms of investing when you do all the proper work to make sure that it is ready to go and it will work. So on this channel, we'll cover a lot more about how to do that proper work. If you're interested in real estate investing, we'll continue to talk about it because I absolutely love it. It's super fun. It just is one of the most tangible, kind of coolest investments you could possibly get into. But I want to make sure that you have all the necessary information to make good, strong financial decisions around real estate that take away a lot of the risk and increase a lot of the reward. Now, as you keep going through time and you keep getting more and more real estate and you start to have a wide range of properties, if it turns out one isn't working out, the rest of them kind of pick it up, right? It's kind of like a chain restaurant. Not all the chains are going to end up working out, but it doesn't matter because the many that are doing great are going to cover the few that are doing poorly. You can get to that same point too. But when you first start out, let's be conservative and intelligent. Let's be smart about what we're doing. Let's run the numbers and make sure that we're getting a good deal. And then once the money starts flowing in and you start seeing this actually work and this concept work, then save that money that you're bringing in and let's get ready for the next one. And we'll keep investing and we'll keep making this stuff happen. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you listening to my story. If you got any questions, please comment down below. Check us out on thewealthyidiots.com. We're posting articles constantly. We're also updating our calculators. All kinds of good stuff is going there, so check that out. Please like and subscribe. I cannot stress enough how grateful I am for everyone who is engaging in the conversation in the comments, who is liking our videos, who's subscribing and following us. I super appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.